organ, they would love to sign up on the list. Only 18% have actually signed up. So there's a huge demand for organ donors. It's an amazing opportunity, if anything ever happened, to potentially be able to save some people's lives. One donor can potentially save up to 8 lives, so it's pretty significant. To explain why I think it's important, I'm going to share some stories about my son, Owen. Little disclaimer, I like to apologize a bit for the pictures. I tried to pick decent pictures. If you don't like any of them, let me know, and I will advance to the next slide. This is Owen here, and that's his brother, Ben. So he was supposed to be born November 1st or November 29th, but there were some complications with the pregnancy, so they scheduled a C-section for November 1st. My wife was getting ultrasounds once a week for about 4 months before the due date, and she went in one Monday for her ultrasound and went to the doctor that Friday, and the doctor was surprised, couldn't believe how well the baby was doing. So they rescheduled the C-section for a week or two into November. The following Monday was her next ultrasound, and she was going to skip it because everything was going so well, but at the last minute felt guilty, so she decided to go. And it was a good thing that she did, because when she went for the C-section, they actually told her to go home right away, but to have her phone on her. So she did that. I went home, and we got a call from the Victoria Hospital that night, and we went down to Victoria, and Owen was born on October 26th. He was having some complications. He was swelling up, he had fluid inside him, and his liver, spleen, everything was swelling up. So he was born, he was in the NICU for 3 days. That's a picture of him there. He had high bilirubin as well, so they had him under the lights, light pad below, light pad on top. His chest was, we call it a barrel chest. It was quite swollen because of all the fluids. But after 3 days in the hospital, that was actually on the 29th. That was the first time he was ever held, so it was nice that we were finally able to hold him. Then we went home we were home for a week, 2 weeks. And when you get sent home with a new baby in BC, you're sent home with a stool card. It's a screening program for biliary atresia. The top is abnormal stools. They're white, chalky, a lot different from the normal ones, which are yellow and green down at the bottom. So of course we were home for a few weeks, and we noticed that Owen's stools were like the top ones. And it's very important that you notice the stool cards right away, because you have to notice it within 60 days of the child being born. Essentially what it means with biliary atresia is that you have to do a liver transplant, and they can't do a liver transplant before 8 months old. So there's another operation they can do, but it has to be done before 60 days. So what's biliary atresia? It's essentially damaged ducts in your liver. So if this is your liver, this is your gallbladder, your stomach, and your small intestine. There's all these little ducts that go from your liver down to your small intestine. And biliary atresia, those ducts actually start to collapse, and they start to deteriorate over time. They get worse and worse. So the bile doesn't come down into your small intestine, and it can cause your body to break down, your spleen, everything starts to fail, and it's fatal in the end. So we had this card, and we noticed the stools, so we took a picture, sent it to the email on the card, and within about 5 minutes, Dr. Schreiber from the Children's Hospital called us right away. And that started our visits to the Vancouver Children's Hospital. We started with a liver biopsy, so they did a small incision and then took a sample from his liver, and it was okay. Everything was inconclusive, it looked great. The next step was a HIDA scan, where he ingests some radioactive material, and he gets put in this machine, and this machine spins around and around. It's like something out of a sci-fi movie. It's pretty intense. And they actually taken images of his liver, and they watched the radioactive material go through his liver. And you could see it go into his liver, but it didn't come out through those ducts down into his small intestine. So we knew at that point there was about a 90% chance that he did have biliary atresia. And that's Owen in the machine there. His arms are up, he's strapped in. He was in that machine for about 4 hours, so 4 or 5 hours. He did very well being strapped in for that. So once we knew that was the issue, then the next step was a cholangiogram and the Kasai procedure. Cholangiogram is just one more test that they do, and the Kasai procedure is what they do instead of a liver transplant, in hopes of getting the baby to 8 months, where the safe zone where they can actually do a liver transplant. So what's the Kasai procedure? This is your liver again, the gallbladder, like we saw before, stomach and intestine. What they do is they cut the small intestine, and then they remove the gallbladder, all that ducting that we saw, and they attach the small intestine to the liver. They sew up the end of the liver and attach it here just because you can get more surface area that way. And then they reattach the small intestine down there. So we did that with Owen. He went in for his cholangiogram. They do an incision from the bottom. It goes all the way up and across the stomach. And so it's quite intrusive. And then they inject some dye into your gallbladder and watch it go down and watch it go up. With Owen, it went down, but it never went up into his liver. So they knew it was biliary atresia up in that section from the gallbladder up to his liver. The cholangiogram should take about 2 hours, but it took 3 hours to do it with Owen. And then the Kasai procedure was another 5 hours. So it was about 7 o'clock at night that the actual surgeons came back to us and said that the surgery is done, and Owen was on his way to the recovery room. So post-surgery, it took a few weeks for Owen to recover in the recovery room. That's him there. You can see his incision across the stomach. He was released Christmas Eve. It was a total gong show. He wasn't supposed to get released till after Christmas, so they told us like on the afternoon of Christmas Eve that we could go home, and we had to try to get all the stuff, presents set up and everything. It was totally crazy, but it was nice. It was a good Christmas present, right? And then March came around, and March was when they finally said that, yeah, they had been doing tests. We were back and forth with the Children's Hospital, and that's when they said that he was good. The surgery was actually a success. So with that, Owen now is running around everywhere. He's happy, he laughs, he's in great shape. However, there's still an 80% chance that at some point in his life, that he'll need the transplant. I was doing so good. So he's healthy right now, but down the road he probably will need a transplant. We have a friend here in town who has biliary atresia. She's 19. It's really tough with organ transplants. She should have been on the list 15 years ago, but your body has to be in a certain state for you to be on the transplant list. And now, in the last 5 years, she's been getting worse and worse. And now she's on the transplant list. And over the past 2 months, she's gotten a lot worse. And supposedly she's on the top of the list, ready for the next transplant. And it's tough to see. The other problem with that is you have to be in bad shape to get on the list because there's not enough organs. You also but the other problem is your body has to be in good shape to receive the liver for the surgery to be a success. So it's a tough trade-off. But it's good. It's interesting to see her go through that process because we will potentially be there down the road. The Kasai procedure is relatively new too. She had the Kasai procedure when she was a baby, and she's gone through all the same process. She was good until about 15 years old, and then she started to have low energy and her body started to have issues. And now she's 19 and hopefully we'll get that. So my conclusion today is I'd like to ask the club if I could send out an email just with the address for everybody to potentially sign up as a donor. It takes a few minutes, and in my opinion, it doesn't matter one way or another. Some people have religious beliefs that they don't believe in it and don't want to do it. That's fine, but a lot of people just haven't had the opportunity or don't know quite where to go to do it. So I'd like to send that email out to you guys, and if you have a chance, if you could sign up, that would be great. And these are just some other shots. We've had some articles in the local newspaper. There's Heather and Owen just trying to get some awareness out for the cards to make sure people understand and know that they need to look at them. And this is the Province newspaper right before Christmas. They had a Canadian Liver Foundation gala. That's Heather, Owen, and myself. And Heather did a speech in front of like 400 people. She obviously did a lot better than I did. So that's it, but I wanted to throw one quick video to lighten up the mood a little bit now that I was a bit of a Debbie Downer. So like I said, Owen's healthy, he's good, he's running around. Here's a quick video of him and his brother. Usually your bigger brother pushes you around, but Owen is quite the tank. This video is Owen pushing his brother in a little cart. Hopefully it works. There's Owen pushing Ben. So he's healthy and in good shape now. All right, thank you, Toastmaster.